this is Greg Kelly. Donate now to Toys for Tots, which works year-round. Go to toysfortots.org. Toys for Tots supports children in need throughout the year with programs like the Toys for Tots Literacy Program. Established in 2008, it has provided over 63 million books to disadvantaged children. The Toys for Tots Literacy Program is committed to providing disadvantaged children with direct access to books and educational resources that enhance their ability to read and communicate effectively. Go to toysfortots.org.
Excuse me! Taxi!
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
And joining us now with the big breaking news is John Solomon with Just the News. John, what do you got?
Well, so much going on in the world. Let's get to something that just got announced a little bit ago. President Trump says the U.S. military has completely destroyed 10 inactive mine-laying boats. CNN was claiming that Iran was trying to lay new mines in the Strait of Hormuz. It turns out Donald Trump's maybe not so certain of that, because he said the boats that he struck today weren't actually working, but they got rid of them. Another sign of
they got rid of them anyway. What the heck, right?
That's right. Who needs a Navy? Who needs a mine laying? Who needs an Air Force? We'll get rid of them all.
Yeah.
That's the president's approach. And so that's one of the big stories on the Iran front today. Now, in the meantime, we had that ISIS-inspired terror attack outside of the mayor's home in New York City. The FBI did some more investigative work today. They hit a second Pennsylvania storage unit looking for evidence around these two defendants or suspects. We're keeping a close eye on that. And the big story that everyone's been talking about really trended almost all day on social media, a story that we broke this morning, that President Trump was targeted not by one, not by two, not by three, but 4 consecutive FBI code-name counterintelligence probes. We all know about Crossfire Hurricane. That was the now debunked Russia collusion case, and we learned a lot in the last few months about another one called Arctic Frost, which is related to January 6th. But in the middle of those two operations were 2 more targeting of President Trump. They were called Round River, which looked at people around the president for examining Hunter Biden's Ukraine business deals. We actually investigated people for doing that. And Plasmic Echo, which looked at the possibility that President Trump had classified documents at his Mar-a-Lago home. When you take these 4 investigations, it means from the moment President Trump was the nominee in 2016, summer 2016, to the moment he took his second oath of office in January 2025, the president of the United States, a man that Americans twice elected to be president, was being treated daily by the FBI as a national security threat, as a risk to the American people. And these 4 counterintelligence investigations turned his world upside down. We didn't know about many of them until just the last few days. Also, it affected the privacy and reputations and legal status of hundreds of people around the president, lawyers, movie makers, journalists, members of Congress, congressional staffers, all swept up in these 4 probes. It really gives you a sense of just how widespread the dragnet was to get Donald Trump dragnet inside the FBI.
Now, let me ask you, I have a whole bunch of questions, John. First off, these 4, we know about Arctic Frost. We heard about Crossfire Hurricane. What were the other 2, the Round River and Plasmic Echo, River. I think you said. What were they doing, and how high up did it go in the FBI for them to be doing it? Do we know what was it, the political leadership, if you will?
Well, Round River was started in Pennsylvania, in Pittsburgh, of all places. Why? Because that's where Bill Barr, the Attorney General for Donald Trump, had asked the U.S. Attorney in Pittsburgh to investigate whether Hunter Biden might have had a criminal problem in Ukraine or in his foreign dealings. Remember, there was that informant that had never been properly investigated. At the same time, Bill Barr, President Trump's Attorney General, is asking the U.S. Attorney there to legitimately look at whether there's a criminal problem against Hunter Biden, something we ultimately learned there was. He had to plead guilty to tax crimes and gun crimes. The FBI created a counterintelligence investigation to try to scare off Bill Barr's U.S. Attorney from investigating it, basically portraying anything about Hunter Biden in Ukraine as Russian disinformation harming U.S. security. That's pretty amazing. And that one, I think, is going to shock people. That one is not fully declassified yet, but basically speech delimiters were used to target you. If you spoke a certain way about Hunter Biden, you were deemed a national security risk by the FBI. I think it's very troubling to Americans when they hear that. And then Plasmic Echo, that's the investigation that sucked up Susie Wiles' phone records, Kash Patel's phone records before they joined the administration, and also allegedly listened in on one of Susie Wiles' conversations with her lawyer. That's the one that Kash Patel announced a couple of weeks ago. So those are the four. Those two in the middle are very troubling and perhaps the most recently discovered. Only in the last few weeks has Kash Patel found these hidden files. They're hidden in little lockers called prohibited access storage lockers, and most FBI agents couldn't find them. They were literally hidden even from the current FBI director.
John Solomon, question. You know, my head goes in too many directions. Is it possible that the Chinese had certain information on Hunter Biden where they were telling the staff of Joe Biden, because I don't think Joe Biden knew he was alive sometimes, they're telling the staff of Joe Biden that they had certain things on the son?
We don't know. I mean, there's a lot of behavior about the Biden presidency that behooves us. Why did Joe Biden shut down the FBI counterintelligence investigation of China's infiltrations in universities? Something we learned was consequential because they were bringing in pathogens and dangerous biolabs and things like that. He also obviously had his son meet with the Chinese leader, and they got a big deal going back in 2013. But in the 2020 timeframe, there was a lot of evidence that China was doing mal-influence operations in the elections, and the Biden intelligence community kept downplaying that. You're going to see some reporting from me on that in the next couple of weeks. There is an odd behavior by the Biden administration related to China that has yet to be explained by rational explanation. And so I think there is a lot of focus on that. Nothing that I know of specifically other than people scratch their heads saying China's our biggest threat, and Joe Biden didn't want to treat it as that.
John Solomon, thank you for everything you do. Thank you for keeping the American people informed. And naturally, we're going to have somebody from the FBI come back and give us their opinions on things. And thank you, and we'll talk to you real soon.
Thank you, sir. Good to be on the show.
If you're looking to create, grow, and sustain your wealth, download and subscribe to the Pain Points of Wealth podcast at BeBullish.com with Bob, Ryan, and Chris Payne. It's your podcast for market insights, money tips, and real talk on the economy. Download and subscribe at BeBullish.com.